Welcome to Coffee and Conscious Conversation, a space where stories awaken, hearts open, and truth is spoken. Today's guest is someone whose journey embodies resilience, transformation, and the power of self-love. Introducing Craig Sotkovsky, a 9/11 World Trade Center lung cancer survivor, entrepreneur, author, and international speaker. His life story is not just about survival, it's about transmuting pain into victory. From childhood trauma and addiction to becoming a mentor and guide, Craig has walked through fire and emerged with wisdom that inspires audiences worldwide. In today's discussion, Craig will offer you a sense of profound relief as we delve into every layer of the human experience: pain, trauma, addiction, healing, resilience, purpose, self-love, and transformation. He openly shares the exact experiences, lessons, and methods that helped him transform his own life and support others around the world. This podcast is honest, vulnerable, and deeply human. So, pour yourself a cup, settle in, and join us for a conversation that may just change the way you see your own journey. Let's meet Craig.
And welcome to another podcast of Coffee and Conscious Conversation with me, Paul. And my guest today is Craig. And we'd like to say a huge welcome to the program. Craig, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Greatly appreciate it.
I'm sure we're going to have an amazing conversation today. I'm looking forward to it, but I'd like to start off by asking you, what is epigenetics?
Epigenetics. It's a complex question. It's one of those things where when you internalize yourself, right? People go in and they want to tap in. They want to study like who they are, right? And who we are is a whole bunch of biology. A lot of people say, "Oh, this is the human experience. We're just humans." Yes, but it comes with so many things. It's a complex environment, right? So it's about expressing yourself in a way that enhances your biochemistry. And what I do, and I'm so grateful for what I do, is express myself through epigenetics. I've been through so many things in this world that would paralyze the average person. And I say average because I've been told that things that I've been through and things that I've been able to alchemize, one incident, two incidences would take people out. I've been through a plethora of incidences. And what I've realized through all of these things that I've been through is that the human mind and body is a soul seat. It's one of these things where you can go through something and alchemize it in a way where your biochemistry changes. And then when your biochemistry changes, it becomes your superpower. Like, I have no emotional attachments to my stories. And people will be like, "Well, how do you have no emotional attachment to your stories?" And it's like, well, because I have put the time and energy and effort into myself to understand how ridiculous the human experience is, how we have emotional attachments to our stories. And when we get rid of the emotional attachment to our stories, it's very cathartic and expressing our stories with zero emotional attachment. That means when I have a recall of when I say when I was molested as a child, I have this recall and my biochemistry doesn't change. I've alchemized that story chemically in my body. And people are like, "What are you talking about?" What are you talking about? Okay, here's the thing. When we have a recall on a traumatic event, we have something called the reticular activating system. Reticular activating systems are subconscious behavior. So it's going to give us the recall, as if it just happened now. So when you have that recall, could be 20, 30 years ago. When you have that recall, it's going to give you the same flood of chemicals attached to that story. So what I do with clients, and I do it apologetically, right? When I find out exactly who they are, I have them do a recall of whatever the event is. Event, story, doesn't matter to me. And when they have the event, I could see through micro expressions, right? Their tics, their eye rolls, and all of that, that they've brought the chemicals with them of that event. So it floods their body. And as soon as I see that, like that bounce, or, it's like, all right, I want you to hold that experience right now. Because how does it feel to you? And they're like, I feel bad, or, okay, well, I want to do that to them so they know that they can change that. So when you have that recall, it's like, it's just a recall, it's a story. Biochemistry doesn't change. And that's the end product of epigenetics. That's it's regulating our emotions with chemistry that we all have inside of us. And people are like, I can't do it. Yes, you can. You have the same thinking capacity as I do. Everybody has the same thinking capacity. We all have the same software system, right? It's just that our programs have been different. Through 0 to 8 years old, the Jesuits used to say, show me the child and I'll show you the adult. Because as you process your childhood, all you've done is downloaded and downloaded and downloaded your habits, your expressions, your parents' expression. And at 35 years old, if you haven't had some kind of event that has changed that, that made you conscious of that, you're going to be that child your whole life.
So epigenetics would work when we are looking to alter or bring about a new identity by releasing the assumed identity.
Exactly. In a way, like I have notes on my walls, right? I have notes all the time. And when I reflect on how to change your reality, right? It's the same thoughts give you the same choices, the same actions give you the same behaviors, and then the same experiences give you the same feelings in the old state of being. Makes sense. So we're a culmination of all our habits, and all our behaviors have created our character. And to alter that and change your reality, you have to have new thoughts and new choices. Then with new choices, it gives you new actions and behaviors, and then gives you new experiences. And then new experiences will give you a different belief system in yourself. And it's like you versus you. Looking in the mirror, it's you versus you. And for you to alter who you are, the old version of you needs to die. You need to kill that. So when you're bringing all this trauma, pain, misery, suffering, external validations, right? Most of us want external validations. We want that pat on the back from my Uncle Johnny or my Aunt Kim or whatever. When you no longer look for external validations and you validate yourself, you change your biochemistry. And you no longer live by the adrenaline and cortisol of the world. And you tap into the oxytocin and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals. And this isn't rocket science. It's brain science. And our brain doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality, doesn't know the difference of time. So when you have a creative imagination, you can change how you feel. And I get so empowered by expressing this, because every human has the same capacity to just have supernatural powers. And they just don't want to tap into it because they're afraid of what other people are going to say or how they're going to make them feel.
Well, also belief systems around what the supernatural is, what it might contain for their well-being or against their well-being if they tap into it.
That's the paradox, as we were discussing before.
Yeah,
You know, go ahead.
saying the belief systems that people carry within them are all assumed, taught, given, drilled into them, beaten into them, loved into them,
Usually beaten.
you know,
Usually beaten into them, yes.
on a very, very deep levels. I'm also of the same mindset on those particular processes. You look for the trauma that was created that made them believe something was true. And people often are responding and working in life through fear, which is a form of being in victimhood much of the time. And that victimhood keeps them trapped in the emotional state of that fear. So it takes an immense amount of courage for somebody to be able to say, hang on, one moment, let me just get away from all of this because it's no longer working for me. And if they're not able to, then often I've seen suicide is the next thing for somebody because they're trapped in that intense dynamic of what they think is real. But meantime, it's the emotional state within the heart. I use the word heart at this point, and within the structure of the thoughts in the mind that goes on there. What do you feel about being trapped in that?
So we're trapped, and when we're trapped, we're trapped in that chemical soup, right? So when you're holding all of this trauma, right? You hold this state that you're in, which produces all of these bad chemicals inside of us
Right.
and gives us our anxiety, gives us our depression,
Mm.
gives us our suicidal ideations. It gives us, right? All of these bad things. However, if you give it a different perspective, it can give you the feel good. It can give you the alchemization of your story. It can give you a flood of better chemicals in your body that can give you your happiness, give you your joy. It's like, how do you want to learn to express yourself? Through fear, like you're saying, it's fear, or love. I throw everything at love. Every experience that I have, I throw love at it. I have a friend of mine, Kirk Ashley. He's got a book out. How would love respond? And his story is all about how he wanted to kill himself, how he had the gun in his mouth, how he had, the death of his friend in front of him, how he's taken everything out. And I'm very proud of him because he's got it. He's working on his movie, right? So he's alchemized his stories. I've alchemized my stories. I can only spend time with people that are in process of alchemizing their stories because the everyday victimhood, I used to be in that as I was battling cancer, as I was going through surgeries and procedures and just constant flood of bad emotions. And it wasn't until my ex-wife and my daughter were like, and I was in the worst pain in the world after a bilobectomy. They took my mid and lower lobe, my right lung out, and they cut through my ribs, and excruciating pain for 6 years, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it was when my daughter and ex-wife said, "You're a crappy person on drugs. You're grumpy, you're miserable, nobody can talk to you." And I was. So I had to go through the pain and actually learn how to get rid of the pain without drugs. That's when I discovered epigenetics. And I
Craig,
needed to tap. Go ahead.
so I just want to ask you here. I mean, it's an incredibly intense experience which humans regularly have. Was that your pivotal moment that switched you onto a new direction?
100%. It was a time where I had the privilege of living in the bush of Jamaica with no electricity and no water, 6 months. And the person that I was living with, he's savant and had the opportunity, and he's one of my best friends today, Lewis. And Sicilian guy from Jersey City, New Jersey. He's the most intelligent person I've ever met. Yet he can't hold a conversation because he's savant. And, and I had this experience. He showed me what the human mind can do. He showed me how you can take your mind and shut things down. And he would do wild things. I mean, he'd take a candle, put it on the other side of the room behind something, and take all the energy in the room and put the candle out. And I used to watch him like, whoa, where's the trick, right? Like, where you're a magician. And he used to do it consistently over and over again because he understands life at a different level. It wasn't until I was going through a 9/11, because I'm a 9/11 respondent to the World Trade Center, and I ended up getting lung cancer specifically from that. And it was two and a half years after my surgeries that I was studying epigenetics. And because I needed to alchemize the painkillers. I mean, I was on everything: morphine, Dilaudid, Percocet, Percodan, 2,400 milligrams of gabapentin for nerves, and I was literally in a cocktail of just garbage. And I still had the pain, so I still had the physical pain,
Right.
and taking those drugs. So I needed to move with a little bit more clarity. So when I started studying epigenetics from Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton, as we spoke before, I was at a 9/11 yearly physical, and they sent us to the worst clinics. Outside of New York, you go to the worst clinics. And the doctor had given me, they had given me my x-ray, and the doctor came in, and she's like, Craig, have you ever had a bad x-ray? And I was just like, oh man, she's going to tell me, I'm going to be dead by Tuesday and I got whatever. And as she was saying that, I had this flood of emotion. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I know what that feels like. Let me just throw this back. So whatever she says is not going to make me have a crappy day. It's not going to take the smile off my face. It's not going to make me walk out of here with a frown. I have the smile, and I'm going to continue. Come to find out, she didn't even have my paperwork, my 9/11 paperwork that showed that I had the operation, showed that there was that cloud on my x-ray because my things were gone. She assumed, oh, this guy's done. And that was the pivotal point. That changed because I was like, wow, this stuff actually works, because I didn't have a biochemistry change. And that was like, well, with thought alone, I could actually think whether anything outside of my environment, right? Tapping into the quantum field, anything outside my environment, the only real estate we can own is this. So when I was like, oh my God, that's an amazing experience, I wanted to know more. That's how I am. I want to know more, right? And it's been, God, man. So it's 2017, 2019. It's been years that I study this stuff every day. And it's like I listen to frequencies and tones. I listen to positive affirmations. I listen all the time, because I understand it's what we're feeding our mind that'll give us different states. And it was when I started studying while I slept, before I slept, while I slept, and after I woke up, to put myself in a different state where I started to learn really how the human mind works. Because when I get up, there was so many days when I woke up, I was in so much pain, and I was like, I wish I was dead. And that's a crappy way of going through life. Now I wake up and I'm like, I am so grateful. Thank you. Right? I woke up. I survived another night. Let's see who we can piss off today.
Right.
Let's see how we can really shake up the world. And expressing myself in this way, I get to meet beautiful humans like yourself.
Thank you.
And it overwhelms me with beautiful vibes, because I get to help people have aha moments. When somebody's walking through life with something that's been hard on them for 20 or 30 years, and in that one conversation, they get it. They understand it. And that's the reason why I give them recalls. I want the recall to shock them. Because when the recall shocks them, I know that they understand now. And now they know that they can go the other way. So whatever sadness that you have in your life, and you have that, that recall of the story, it's like, yes, the recall of the story can be, the aha moment where I can have the recall and not have the chemical soup flood my body with all of those bad adrenaline and cortisol. That, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening again. The human mind is it's an amazing expression. It really is. Because we can make it do whatever we want.
As a vehicle of frequency, yes, I would work with that 100%, because I've often, through time and discussions and conversations, seen that people who have experienced the most intense trauma in their lives can often turn into the most amazing healer. But I think becoming the healer is the bridge to becoming what I'm terming the frequency holder, the one who holds that frequency and vibrationally able to keep the energetic self expanding.
That dial in. You got to constantly dial in, right?
And I'm feeling that, from what I know about you and from what you're sharing, is that you have crossed that bridge so incredibly well into a state where you are learning to hold frequency on a much deeper level. And understandably, that can be addictive, just the same as the opposite can be addictive. So
absolutely.
What choices do we make? You're going to live here or you're going to live here? And I think it depends on the identity that forms within the self, or the identity that we let go of as we are moving into this particular process.
It's the identity that we let go of, right? Like, egotistically, I used to think that I was going to be famous for something in like what I've done in business, right? And then I reflect on it. It's like, I was a crappy businessman, man. I like, egotistically, I was just like, whatever. And I got infamous for being a 9/11 cancer guy, because my lawyer had asked me to do a interview in Atlanta, because they wanted more people to become aware of the illnesses, sicknesses, and just of this. And I did that interview, and my life changed. And it was like, wow, I'm the sick guy, right? So I was still in this victimhood of wow, I'm sick. Wow, I'm one of tens of thousands that are sick and dying. Well, we're all sick and dying. As soon as we're born, we're dying, right? So it's the perspective, right? And I've had the surgeries and the procedures, and I've had the biopsy that almost killed me, and I had the knee ablation and almost took my leg off. That gave me 3 blood clots, and I've had the surgeries and procedures of just a never-ending pile of crap. And I have a smile on my face. Now, is there times where I'm thinking, oh man, is this like real? I used to have identity crisis. I used to speak at national conventions back in the day, and I used to be a successful entrepreneur, and I couldn't even pay my light bill because it was never-ending battles of paying medical bills or just paying life bills as I was going through surgeries and procedures. And so I've lived the crap life. Now I express myself living the good life. So there's a difference between surviving and thriving. I'm just entering the thriving state because I came to Mexico to get healthy, and I got healthy, and I continue to get healthy. Now, do I have the old man pains? Oh, I wake up while I was discussing this with my brother, because me and him, like, we're 3 years apart. He's older than me, and he's like, "Did you ever think we'd become these men? Like, oh, my shoulder, oh, my arm, oh, my back, oh, my butt, oh my." And it's like, but we get to do it. And that alone changed my life. So I don't need to do it. I don't want to do it. I get to do this. And by the grace of the universe, God, the energy that we all have inside of us. I get to do this. And it blows my mind every day because I tell people I'm just a knucklehead from Jersey, man. That's it.
Perhaps all of those things are your own Oscars or Academy Awards for achievement.
Absolutely. 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 Because I've internally validated myself.
Right.
I don't need somebody's pat on the back. I don't need somebody's good job. I don't need somebody. It's like, no, I just go through life being me, you know? Yeah, it is a tough paradox, man. But it is a paradox.
Yeah, very much so. So, Craig, through all the experiences you've had in your life, from abuse to, as you say, surviving, having to work through cancer multiple times, all of these processes that must have brought some addictive issues into it in terms of looking for support somewhere externally. You advocate becoming your own hero.
100%, because we all know what it's like to be the villain.
But do we? Now, when we say average person, we're not going to make anybody average. Everybody has to live in terms of their own journey and their process. So let's say the individual that walks through life trying their best to be the best that they can be. How do they become their own hero?
By going in. You have to tap into yourself. You know, they told me 4 different times that I was potentially being treated for cancer. That's one process of you going through cancer is devastating, right? They told me 4 different times, yet they were only right once. So it was misdiagnoses. And I'll give you a quick story. So twice they told me that I was potentially being treated for breast cancer because in the 9/11 community, breast cancer is huge in men. And come to find out, they were lipomas that they took out. I had 20 lipomas taken out of my body. And lipomas are like little tumors or before tumors. I really don't. I don't even pay attention to that stuff. They just took these things out of me, right? And the last time, and I'm gonna be frank, the last time I had a knee surgery, and I had a knee surgery in 2024. This is after my knee ablation in 2024 to clean up my knee, right? That was like my 13th, 14th, 15th knee surgery. I didn't even know at this point, right? And they cleaned up my knee in September, and in November I had to go back to the surgeon. And he's like, "Well, it's still swollen, and I believe the reason why it's not going down is because you have synovial sarcoma." There's a doctor giving me a potential diagnosis of cancer again. And Paul, God is my judge. 5 minutes later, he addressed me. And this is exactly what he said. "I want to know how I give you a potential diagnosis of synovial sarcoma." And this is exactly what he said. "And you laughed in my fucking face. How did you do that?" And it was like, it's not my first rodeo. Your opinion of me, right? So as soon as he said that, I said to myself, it's another I got a lipoma in my knee. Because they thought the chest stuff was tumors and it was like lipomas.
Yeah.
So whatever we ingested at the World Trade Center has knocked the chemical soup whole process and have just flooded us with all kinds of bad crap. So I'm consistently looking, and they told me I was going to have surgery again and all that. I haven't had surgery since. I keep looking at it and I keep talking to it, and it swells up sometimes, and I'm like, okay, well, it's expressive. It's expressing the pain, right? But I walk 5 miles a day. I'm consistently in pain. However, I know how to alchemize it. I watch it. The tumor hasn't grown. Can't even feel it anymore. So I'm saying to myself, it's a lipoma. And it's the reason why I became a patient advocate. Because I believe, like, if somebody says you have stage 4 cancer and we can't do anything, because I had this experience with my friend Sandy down here. I took care of her before it was a matter of fact, it was before I had my surgery, because I had to bring her back to her house, and she had nobody there other than her downstairs neighbors that could take care of her, because I was taking care of her and taking her to the doctors, and it broke my heart, man. Every doctor that we went to, no, go home and die. No, go home and die. No, go home and die. And it was like, and just the emotional breakdown from this woman. And she went back to Canada and she died. And she had a tumor, like, I no exaggeration, like this on the side of her neck. And when I met her 6 months before, it was this little bump. And it just progressively, like, oh my God, it was one of those experiences in my life where it was like, why did Sandy come into my life? It's like, wow, very special person.
And everyone is there for a reason. If we could just figure that out, and whether it's a lesson or what we term a blessing, one of the two, which ultimately merges at some point. But yeah, wow.
I've had a lot of those experiences in my life. I was with my mom when she was in hospice, and well, first I was born in the same hospital that my grandmother died in the night before. I still hold that story. It's like my grandmother died in the hospital that I was born in the next day. Like, I that blows my mind. But I've had experiences. I was with my mom when she was in hospice, and she was all on morphine and making her comfortable and stuff. And never forget this. I was looking at her, and she's like, "No, Carol, no, Carol," and I was like, like, what was that about? I'm saying to myself. And I remember my Aunt Cookie as Cookie because she was always institutionalized. However, her name is Carol. And I told my dad when I went home, because I was visiting my dad in Florida to see my mom in the hospice. And I went and I told my dad, who's Carol? Carol, don't Carol know. And come to find out, they called a couple hours later that she had passed away. And that kind of stuff, like, that's that, you're different. You feel you're different.
Yeah.
Right. I was working with somebody, his name is Magisha. I read about his story online. And it was how he walked from DR Congo to the Naka Valley Refugee Center in Uganda with his brother. And they had no money, nothing, just his clothes on their back. And they walked and they made money making bricks for people, building bricks, So I read this story and I was fascinated by it. And I wanted to reach out to him. And I reached out and we became friends. And we started putting together this food program for his school that he created at the Naka Valley Refugee Center. And his school had 500 children. Okay. And we were going strong for a couple months until he got killed getting library books for his school in a car accident. He got killed. And I was like, why did he enter my life? Like continuing all of these stories. And it's like, I look at everybody that leaves my life as if they're dead. It's just the way I process. There's no emotional attachment to people anymore. It might sound sad, but I believe that's what we have to do.
Well, I
just
think
to keep our own sanity.
From what I'm just feeling as you're talking, Craig, becoming your own hero also means being accountable to yourself for who you are and who you are growing into.
I'm sorry, that's I totally avoided that question.
No worries. It's fascinating, that we can get that insight for ourselves to be able to do that. And that must impact greatly on others around us. So I don't think it's just a one-sided thing where they are leaving, dying, passing away, whatever term we choose to use, or disappearing into the void, or whatever we're going to call that. But they impacted on you and you've impacted on them. Has it changed their frequency, you think, to another level where their role has had to change?
I believe we can change each other's frequencies based off of the emotions that we give it. I really do.
Yeah.
I know that um I could walk into a room and immediately the room changes.
Yeah.
I mean, the energy just changes because I'm not here. I'm here to disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed, man. And I bring my energy force everywhere I go.
Mm.
And like you could walk into a room and you could feel the energy, right? It could be uplifting or it could be draining. You know, I do these experiments with myself. I'll go into a supermarket and be like, today I don't want to be seen. And I'll go to the supermarket, walk in and out the aisles, buy things, like,
That's
okay,
right.
bye, leave.
That's right.
And then sometimes I'll be like, I want to be noticed, right? So the energy changes. And you walk in, you buy your things, and people are like, hi, how are you? And hi, how are you? And hi, hi. People walk by and put a smile on my face, and I put a smile on theirs. And I've learned that we all have the ability to do this. We all are capable of doing this.
That's correct.
We all are capable of tapping in, like my mentor Les Brown loves to say, we all have greatness inside of us. And when we tap into that, everything changes. It's magical. So be the magician, be that alchemist. I call myself the shaman from Jersey. People are like, oh my God, that's so egotistical. Shamanism just means you healed yourself, man.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm a shaman for myself
Mm.
because I took the time and energy, more so the energy, put it inside myself. And like I isolate myself. Don't I talk to so many people online that I need that mental break, right? Because it's an exchange of energy. We're exchanging energy as we're speaking. So I'm either draining it or I'm recharging it. And I call this place my lab. It's a 400 square foot place in Merida, Mexico. And sometimes when I'm really drained, I go to the pyramids and just have some time at the pyramids and put my hands on the pyramids and feel that energy recharge my batteries. And people like you're crazy. And it's like, you have no idea how crazy I am. You have no idea how complex, how ridiculously simple, how, it's like what part of the pool you want to swim in. We can go, and I love that expression. I really do. It's like we can jump into the deep end of the pool or the kiddie pool. It's up to you.
Shall we call this episode then The Crazy Shaman?
Yeah, humans are crazy if they allow themselves to be.
Mm.
I really, it's wording and phrases that we use. And I understand that words and phrases that we use can alter our chemistry set. And when you're working on your phrases and words that you use, right? I know somebody be telling a story, a long drawn out story, and then they're like, "What?" And it's like, interesting. I like however, right? Or
However.
I'm in Mexico. So it's pero. Never but. But I catch myself saying that, right? Because we're human. We mess up.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love about the things that I do, people like, oh, you have to be at such a high frequency all the time. No, I'm laughable. I make jokes. I'm just a human having this amazing experience. So it's light seeking the human experience. So I plan on shining my light until I don't. That's it.
However, you're allowing yourself to experience all the emotions as the reality of that moment, and then expressing the way that you wish it to be for yourself. That's what you're doing.
And I love what I do. I love what I do.
Wonderful. You've also talked about the reality of growth when people are leaving and disappearing, as they move on from around your structure. What do you think that reality is? What's the new reality that gets created, that grows from people leaving?
Depends on how you look at it. I look at it as growth. I look at it as somebody, you just had an amazing experience with somebody. Yeah, I'll give you an example. You walk around all day long, right? And you go to a grocery store, you go to a cafe, and then you like, oh wow, what a beautiful young lady. Hi, how are you? Oh, hi, how are you? Hmm. I like this experience. 2 years, we're married. Out of all of these energies, right? You focused on this one energy. So what was the connection?
Yeah.
Right? Out of all of these people, you found your human, and now you're like, let's have fun together. Let's do things and and it's like, wow, man, we have the capability, we have the capacity to either be kind, loving, right? Or we can be miserable. If I allowed all the experiences that I've been through, I could have been extremely bitter. I could be like the people that have done things to me. I never want people to feel like that ever. I don't want people to feel the
So
isolation that I felt.
the process of alchemy is fascinating because I love the subject matter as well. It's close to my heart in terms of the development. But relationships are also alchemical in their process as to what they create or don't create. And there's choices in those dynamics at the same time.
That's the paradox. We
There's
keep running into paradoxes,
yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
it's up to us to figure it out. It's up to us to like, wow, like I get to do whatever I want. People like, well, how do you define success? Success is an individual job, man. It's a definite individual experience. Success for me is number one, waking up, number two, thanking the creator that I woke up, and figuring out what I'm going to do for today.
Well, I think one of the base qualities of alchemy is gratitude and being able to
Gratitude is
be
so important.
grateful for it.
Just being grateful to have survived all the things that I've gone through, right? So I'm here for a reason. Right? That's what I figured out. I'm here for a reason. I didn't die from all the crap that I went through. I'm here to disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed. Do I piss people off? Absolutely. I walk in, my energy alone will set their alarms off, right? Because I illuminate their dark.
Red flag.
And yeah, red flag, man. Here he comes. And I used to laugh because I used to be introduced with a warning. Right. And I could never figure that out. It'd be like, oh, you know what? This guy's really cool. And listen to what he's got to say. He's out there, man. He's really out there. And I embrace that now. I really do. Because being out there, man, it's an amazing experience being out there. Because as I'm out there, I'm in here. I'm in here. You know? I don't value people's opinions anymore. I don't need the external validation. So to be freely who I am, just who I am, wow. I've taken all my masks off. Right? And I believe when you meet a human, you meet their representative first. And in time you see all of the masks fall off and yeah, it's just a beautiful experience.
Different process. Craig, I see that you've written a book.
Yes, everybody pays a VIG. Everybody pays a VIG. It's one man's entrepreneurial
What is a VIG, and how did this book come about? What's it about? Tell me, please.
Everybody pays a VIG it's a street tax. It's vigorish, right? Whether you win or lose with the bookie, you still have to pay a piece. You still have to pay a little bit, right?
Okay.
That's the VIG. That's the VIG of life. It's like, what are you going through, right? If you're concentrating on your company and you're not concentrating on your family, well, as your kids grow up, they don't like you, right? Because you didn't pay attention to them. That's the vig that you're paying for being that dynamic business person, right? So what I do, I express myself in all my stories in the book, um, because I want people to become the house, because the house never loses. The house always wins, right? So it's like, this is the house. This is the only real estate we can own. So you have to go through all of these life experiences to process who you are. And when you value who you are, a lot of us don't value who we are. We just take it and like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I've done this and I've done that, and tap into your greatness. That we've all done great things, even if it was just to get out of bed one day when you felt sick. That's something that you have inside of you that you can work with. We need to celebrate small incremental wins instead of that grand finale, right? We're always concentrating on that big picture thing. Well, the big picture for humans is death. That's the big picture. So I listen to people, oh, when I retire, I'm going to do this, or when my daughter gets married, I'm going to be happy, or my wife is going to do this and I'm going to be happy. Why not be happy now? Why not learn with gratitude? Right? Why do you have to go through the suffering? And like I've gone through all of this crap. You know, I've gone through the self-loathing, self-sabotaging behaviors, the self-isolation, the insecurities. Like when I listen to people talk, I can know immediately what's going on in their head and just how they express themselves. You know, and it's such a beautiful experience. The human experience is such a beautiful experience if we allow it. If we allow it to humble us, if we allow it to, I don't know if you've seen online, there's this meme, right? Where the guy's got a smile on his face and his house is burning behind him because he's used to it, right? And he's just like, you know, just being dopey and goofy and lovable. And his house is burning down, his car's blown up in the corner and
That's
all of
what it
that. And he's like,
is. Yeah.
is what it is, you know? But it's not going to take the smile off my face.
So I'm going to twist it around just as we get into our last few minutes together for the podcast. You were in real estate. So I'm not going to ask you about that process, but what I'm feeling to share with you is we've been talking about reality and estate as being our estate of who we are, you know, the state of being. So I'm just sharing with you that the real estate part of it was to create an estate or a state of being that's real.
That's what I used to use all the time.
Oh,
I used to tell people we create real estates.
Okay.
And they used to be like, what do you mean real estates? Create the real estates inside of you, you know,
Okay.
because this is the only real estate we can own. This is it.
That's it.
Everything else is a contract.
Yeah.
Contract. Everything else is this illusion, right? So it's like, what do you want to process? How do you want to process? And I used to be in creative financing. So it was never, we used to buy houses owner financed, lease options. It was never, oh, I got to save for 20 years and then I'm going to go to the bank. And no. I used to go after the multimillionaires, right? That had houses that were all beat up because I put sweat equity into it,
Okay.
right? So I would find their liabilities in their portfolio. Because if you're rich and you got a whole bunch of houses, I know you have one property, right, that needs work. And I know if it's not making any money, right? If it's not making any money, you'll get rid of it real cheap or with terms.
Right.
So I teach mindset through real estate.
Okay.
And you learn both. Right? And then people are like, well, how come you're not rich? Like, I'm wealthy. I paid down all of my surgeries and procedures. Like, I had to sell my farm after I got divorced to move to Mexico to pay for my surgeries and procedures because all my surgeries and procedures to get medical insurance in the United States would cost me $3,900 a month with a $10,000 deductible. That was then. I don't know what it is now. I've been down here for 2 years. I'm sure they've alchemized the insurance industry and stuff. But when I was told 3,900 with a $10,000 deductible, I was like, just to live, I would have to pay $60,000 a year for my health insurance. Are you out of your mind? Like I mean, I've had the surgeries and procedures. I've had every possible thing. I still have GERDs, Barrett's esophagus. I've had where the throat literally just closes at whim. I still go through that. I've had to alchemize that because if I have an experience like that and my throat closes, right? First couple of times, immediately went to the ER. Now, hold my throat, control my breathing, work my way through the process, because if somebody comes to help me, they could actually kill me. So it's like, no, I got to keep my shit together as it's happening, right? So there's so many metaphors here.
Facing life, I think, with courage, and the foresight of wanting to not just survive, but to live and to experience life in fullness, is what I'm getting from this conversation right now. And thank you for that very much, Craig. I appreciate that moment that we've been able to share.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to bring the podcast to an end now, and the show to an end. The show to an end. I'll be back with you in a moment.